Welcome to Miss Scarlett, the place to be feminine. Subscribe and enjoy.
So, you're telling me that this is permanent? I asked, my voice cracking slightly as I stared at the two scientists before me. They fiddled with their lab coats, avoiding my gaze. Well, Mr. Anderson, it seems that way, Dr. Smith replied, his eyes glued to the floor. The treatment was designed to be a permanent solution for gender dysphoria, and it appears it has, worked as intended. I ran my hands through my now long hair, feeling the soft strands brush against my palms. It was surreal. Just a week ago, I was your average Joe, going about my business as an anonymous tech worker. Now I was a woman. But I wasn't even part of the experiment, I yelled, my frustration getting the better of me. How did this happen? The other scientist, Dr. Jones, cleared his throat. There was a mix-up with the test subjects. Your file was accidentally switched with one of the volunteers. By the time we realized, the treatment had already taken effect. Great, I muttered, rolling my eyes. Just great. We are truly sorry, Mr. Anderson, Dr. Smith said, finally meeting my gaze. We take full responsibility for this mistake, and we will do everything we can to support you during this transition. I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. Transition? This isn't a transition. It's a full-on transformation. I'm a woman now. Yes, well, about that. Dr. Jones interjected. We've run extensive tests, and your body has undergone a complete female pubertal transition. Your hormones, bone structure, muscle mass, and secondary characteristics have all aligned with that of a biological woman. So, I'm just supposed to accept this and live as a woman now? I asked, my voice laced with disbelief. Dr. Smith nodded, looking apologetic. For the time being, yes. We're working on a potential reversal treatment, but it's still in the early stages of development. Fantastic, I mumbled, running my hands down my smooth legs, still clad in the hospital gown. Just peachy. The next few days were a blur of paperwork, medical checks, and learning how to navigate the world as a woman. The doctors had provided me with a new wardrobe, complete with wigs, makeup, and shoes that gave me a staggering extra 4 inches in height. It was like being enrolled in some crash course on womanhood. So, what do you think? Dr. Smith asked, holding up a dark brown wig. This color might suit your complexion better. I signed as I examined my reflection in the mirror. The doctors had convinced me to try on different looks, something I never imagined doing in a million years. It's, quite something, I managed to say, tugging at the wig self-consciously. Dr. Jones smiled, her kind eyes offering encouragement. It takes some getting used to, but you're doing great. Remember, this is all about finding what makes you feel comfortable and confident. Confident? I snorted. I feel like an imposter, like I'm playing dress-up or something. That's understandable, Dr. Smith said, handing me a tube of lipstick. Why don't you give this a try? It might help you embrace the new you. Rolling my eyes, I took the lipstick and swiped it across my lips, pursing them together to examine the effect. The deep red color somehow enhanced my green eyes, and I had to admit, I looked pretty. See? Dr. Jones beamed. You're a natural. A natural what? Drag queen? I quipped, earning a light chuckle from the doctors. Over the next week, I found myself settling into my new identity, albeit reluctantly. The doctors had insisted I stay in the hospital for observation, but it gave me time to experiment with my new appearance. Good morning, sunshine, Dr. Smith chirped as he entered my room, carrying a tray of breakfast. How are we feeling today? Like I'm in some weird dream, I replied, pushing myself up in bed. I ran a hand through my long, wavy hair, still getting used to its texture. But, all things considered, I feel surprisingly okay. That's wonderful to hear, Dr. Jones added, following Dr. Smith into the room. Your body has adjusted remarkably well to the changes, and your hormone levels are stable. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, the hospital gown doing little to protect my modesty. So, what now? Am I just stuck like this forever? Dr. Smith shook his head. Not necessarily. As I mentioned, we're working on a potential reversal treatment. It's still very much in the experimental stage, but we're hopeful. I took the breakfast tray from him, my appetite surprisingly robust. How long until it's ready? Hard to say, Dr. Jones replied, taking a seat beside me. These things take time. In the meantime, we want to ensure you have all the support you need to adapt to your new life. My new life, I repeated, popping a strawberry into my mouth. It's still so weird to think about. With the doctor's help, I slowly began to embrace my newfound femininity. They introduced me to makeup artists and fashion consultants, teaching me the ins and outs of being a woman. It was like being enrolled in some secret society with its own rituals and unspoken rules. Now remember, blend outwards from the apple of your cheek, cooed Michelle, the makeup artist, as she guided my hand. This will give you that natural, sun-kissed glow. I focused intently on her instruction, careful not to smudge the contouring I'd spent the last 20 minutes perfecting. Got it, I murmured, setting down the blush brush. Michelle clapped her hands together, her acrylic nails clicking. Now let's move on to lips. We want a bold color to accentuate your pout. I surveyed the array of lipsticks laid out before me, feeling a tingle of excitement. How about this deep wine color? I asked, picking up a tube. Ooh, excellent choice, Michelle praised, her eyes lighting up. That'll make a statement for sure. As I applied the lipstick, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My reflection was almost unrecognizable. The makeup, coupled with my new hair and wardrobe, had transformed me into someone else entirely. I felt a pang of discomfort, but also a strange sense of empowerment. As the days turned into weeks, the doctors decided it was time for me to re-enter society and experience life as a woman in the real world. Are you sure about this? I asked, tugging nervously at the sleeves of my new dress. I mean, what if someone recognizes me? Dr. Smith smiled reassuringly. We've taken all necessary precautions. New identity documents, a different hair color, and a change of scenery. You'll be fine, Miss Taylor. Easier for you to say, I mumbled, stepping out of the hospital and into the bright sunlight. I shielded my eyes, feeling exposed in my new body. You'll do great, Dr. Jones encouraged. Just remember all the techniques we've practiced. Your body language, your voice, your mannerisms. They all matter. I took a deep breath, straightened my posture, and set off down the street. I felt like an alien, studying the humans around me as if for the first time. The way they walked, the way they gestured, the way they interacted. It was all so different from my previous life. Approaching a busy cafe, I took a seat at an outdoor table, mindful of the way I crossed my legs, something I'd been coached on extensively. I ordered a coffee, my voice a pitch higher than I was used to, and observed the world go by. It was equal parts terrifying and exhilarating. As I navigated my new life, one aspect I couldn't ignore was the way men looked at me. Their gazes lingered, their eyes roaming over my body in a way that made my skin crawl. It was an entirely new and unpleasant experience. Hey, beautiful, a man called out as I walked past a construction site. I felt my cheeks flush, heat rising in my chest. I kept my gaze fixed ahead and quickened my pace, ignoring the wolf whistles that followed. Another day, I found myself in a crowded bar, sipping a drink and observing the dynamics around me. A group of men stood nearby, their eyes flicking over me with blatant appreciation. One of them approached, a confident smirk on his face.
Hey there, gorgeous. Buy you a drink?
No, thank you, I replied, my voice steady despite my nerves. I felt uncomfortable under his intense stare, but I held my ground. He didn't take the hint and leaned closer, his breath warm on my neck.
Come on, one drink. What do you say?
I took a step back, my pulse quickening. I said no. Please leave me alone. The man scowled, his smile dropping, and he muttered something under his breath before stalking off. I sighed, feeling a mix of relief and unease. This was an aspect of womanhood I could have done without. One unexpected upside to my transformation was the camaraderie I found with other women. They embraced me as one of their own and shared insights and experiences that helped me navigate my new life. "You did the right thing," my new friend Sarah assured me as we chatted over cocktails. "That guy was a creep, and you stood your ground." I twirled the straw in my drink, feeling a sense of relief. "I guess I'm still not used to that kind of attention. It's unnerving." Sarah nodded, her curly hair bouncing. "It can be. But hey, that's why we ladies stick together. We've got to look out for each other." I smiled, grateful for her support. "I'm glad I have you to guide me through all this. It's like I've been initiated into some secret society." She laughed, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "In a way, you have. Being a woman comes with its own set of rules and challenges, but we're here for each other." As time passed, I became increasingly curious about the more intimate aspects of my new body. The doctors had provided me with literature and advice, but there were some things I felt I needed to explore on my own. A soft knock on the door startled me, and Dr. Jones's voice called out,
Mind if I come in?
"It's open," I replied, quickly grabbing a robe and tying it around my waist. Dr. Jones stepped inside, her face softening as she took in my vulnerable state. "How are you feeling?" I shrugged, self-consciously clutching the robe. "It's a lot to process, to be honest. There are, well, parts of my body I'm still getting used to." Understanding crossed her face. "The changes can be overwhelming. With the doctor's encouragement, I decided to take a leap and enter the dating world, this time as a woman. It was a nerve-wracking prospect, but one that also held a certain allure." "You look stunning," Sarah commented as she helped adjust the straps of my dress. "He won't be able to take his eyes off you." I bit my lip, a mix of excitement and anxiety bubbling in my stomach. "I hope so. I mean, not in a creepy way, but you know what I mean." She giggled, applying a final swipe of lip gloss. "I know, girl. Now remember, be yourself and try to relax. Dating is supposed to be fun, even if it doesn't always feel that way." I nodded, smoothing imaginary wrinkles from my dress. "Fun, right?" The date went better than I could have hoped. We hit it off instantly, laughing and chatting the night away. I felt a spark, a connection, and it surprised me. As the evening drew to a close, we shared a lingering kiss, and I felt a rush of excitement and desire that was undeniably new and intriguing. Months had passed, and the doctors finally summoned me back to the lab. They had news about the potential reversal treatment, and I was eager to hear their progress. "We've made significant strides," Dr. Smith announced, beaming at me from across his desk. "The reversal treatment is ready for human trials, and we'd like you to be our first volunteer." My heart leaped into my throat. "Really? Are you sure it's safe?" Dr. Jones nodded, her face serious. "We've tested it extensively on animal models, and the results are promising. There are always risks, but we believe they're minimal." I chewed my lip, contemplating the offer. What if I don't want to go back? What if I want to stay like this? The doctors exchanged a glance, and Dr. Smith spoke softly.
That's a decision only you can make.
We want you to be happy and comfortable in your own skin. If you choose to remain as you are, we'll support you fully." I thought back to my experiences over the past months, the challenges, the discoveries, the unexpected pleasures of womanhood. It hadn't been an easy journey, but it had been transformative in more ways than one. "I'll need some time to think about it," I finally said, standing to leave. "But thank you, truly, for giving me this choice." The doctors assured me I had all the time I needed, and I walked out of the lab, my future uncertain but full of possibilities. My journey, whatever path I chose, was far from over.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!